Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And since we're getting close to Christmas, let's talk about toys. Let's talk about California.
I love toys.
Yeah, I know you do.
I do.
Toys.
I love all kinds of toys.
She does. She loves buying toys for people too.
I do.
She's been buying a lot of toys for children in need. She's much kinder than I am, by the way. For all those people who think that she's the angry one, she's actually much nicer when it comes to that sort of thing than I am. I'm like, you go get a job, Timmy. You go buy your own damn toys. No. No, I guess I'm okay. Anyway.
This is in China.
This is China, right? So we're going to talk about California retailers. And I think we talked about this a couple of years ago. It was passed into law.
Yes, we did talk about it before, yes.
Passed into law that they have to have gender-neutral toy aisles. Now, this was passed into law by Governor Newsom, who apparently, if Biden doesn't run again, he wants to run for president. So we'll have this, but everywhere.
But see, this doesn't make sense though, because like when you go to stores, most aisles are not marked girl, boy. They're not. I mean, maybe some places, but most places I go, they aren't marked. It's like, yeah, you can tell an aisle is more boy centric or more girl centric, but not always. And the thing is, it's like saying that they have to be clearly marked, but boy, or they're clearly marked boy or girl, and they have to not do that. It's stupid because a lot of places don't do that now anyway.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna talk about, because there is a snag here. It's the headline is that Newsom wants to make sure that toys are gender neutral, but what they're not doing is saying all toys have to be gender neutral. They're saying you can have a boy and girl aisle still, but you have to have a gender neutral section. But
most stores already do.
Wouldn't the games aisle? Wouldn't the outdoor
I was thinking
toys?
like the Lego aisle, or like the Nerf aisle, or
preschool stuff.
Like that. Yeah, like that's gender. A lot of that's like they mix, especially preschool. It's like the boy quote stuff and girl quote stuff are mixed together all the time. And and when we were kids, it's so weird to me too, because when we were kids, like everybody wanted the same toys. Care Bears, boys and girls wanted them. Cabbage Patch Kids, which would be marked girls. Boys and girls wanted them, like boys, and no one thought anything of it. They're just like, yeah, you got one, so did I, woohoo, Nobody wanted it. They just wanted to see if the boys had a pee-pee under their diaper, and they don't.
Wait, they did?
That's what we wanted to know. I remember I was a kid, I was like, well, the boys, do they have a pee-pee? They don't.
Did Xavier Roberts sign it?
Well, it wasn't actually a signature. They were stamps. But anyway.
He stamped that baby doll's sack.
But there is
after he stole the design from some lady.
There's nothing to stamp. There was no genitalia.
See, they're gender neutral.
See, but everybody wanted the same things. Like,
none of them have PPs. They're all gender neutral.
Masters of the Universe, boys and girls both bought them. They did She-Ra because all the girls wanted Tila and they wanted figures too, so they did the She-Ra line to capitalize on it for girls. But boys bought it also.
Care Bears were definitely gender neutral.
Yeah, like people all the time bought this, toys, and it was cross-gender. It was like, I say cross-gender, but you know what I mean. Everybody liked it. Everybody wanted it. Didn't matter how you identified. Back then, you're pretty much boy or girl. It didn't matter.
Well, even the cartoons, we talked about this before, like even the quote-unquote girls cartoons, like My Little Pony and Gem had action in it. And the reason they did that was because, one, we're dealing with, broadcast television, so you had limited options, right? But they wanted the little brothers to tune in too.
Or big brothers.
Or whatever, the parents be entertained or whatever it was. They're like, we don't want them changing the channel to like the boy show. So Gem, I remember, started out as a show that was shoehorned. It was a Sunday morning show Hasbro did, and it had like Bigfoot trucks, and I think it was robotics, and then Gem. And that's how it started out. And so they like shoehorned the girls cartoon in between two boy cartoons, but then they made sure that Gem had like action, and like every time there was a commercial break, somebody was hanging on by their fingertips and something was exploding or something, because you had to keep the boys. I
can hear the commercial break music in my head.
Yep. Oh, they always did. Hasbro always had the bumpers.
I can hear it in my head. But yeah, and it was like, everybody was engaged. I think now, like a lot of like Bluey's a good example where the character's a girl, but it's for everybody, including adults. But this whole idea that stores are going to have to not say boy aisle, girl aisle. Most don't do it anyway.
No, so let's talk about this, because now the blessed day is here that they have to have their gender neutral aisle in California, or they get fined.
So stupid.
So God, there's so many ads. Speaking of ads, there's so many ads on the New York Post.
Well, how do you determine what's gender neutral? Because there's boys who like girls' toys and girls who like boys' toys, but they're still labeled boys or girls, so they're not. Wouldn't that technically make them gender neutral?
Yeah, you would think.
So then, couldn't you argue all toys could be in some ways classified that way?
Yeah. All right. Major retailers in California are just weeks away from having to create gender-neutral toy sections for children or risk being fined hundreds of dollars. I'm sure Walmart really cares about the $500 fine.
Walmart already does it.
They do. Well, this other article actually brings that up too. They're like, it's ridiculous because most retailers do, especially like Target. Target definitely already does it. Under a controversial state law set to take effect in the new year, under the terms of the legislation, Governor Newsom signed into law in 2021, California-based department stores with 500 or more employees, so that's like a superstore, that sell childcare items or toys must have a gender-neutral section regardless of whether they have been traditionally marketed for either girls or for boys.
So they're just taking boys and girls' toys and putting them in a gender-neutral aisle. So it's the same thing that's already there.
It's got to make finding stuff a lot harder.
Well, no, but I mean, like, I don't want, yeah, so they want you to mix them in an aisle? Is that what they're saying?
Apparently, yeah. It defines childcare items as any product designed to facilitate sleep, feed. Wait a second. Okay, so childcare items. So it's not, okay, childcare items are toys. So basically baby stuff, which is already in a gender-neutral place in most stores. Facilitating sleep, feeding children, relaxation, help children with sucking or teething, and defines children as those 12 and under. So if you want to help your 11-year-old suck, you have to make sure that there's
childcare items aren't being defined as toys or toys. I was like, this is stupid.
Any department store that fails to create a gender-neutral section could face a $250 fine.
That's section, not suction. Just clarifying.
And a $500 fine for any subsequent violations. The new law does not prohibit. Okay, so this is where I'm confused as hell. The new law does not prohibit typical boys and girls sections. So if it does not prohibit girls and boys sections, it's just saying you have to have a gender neutral section. 99.999999% of department stores already do that. So what the fuck is the purpose other than to virtue signal?
Right, because they're saying the big stores already do this. Like,
they already do it.
The little stores are not even going to mess with. The place you might find that in, more it's labeled, that I've seen, are like more like, small stores, but most people don't label it at all. They'll put they'll do like, this aisle has mostly dolls. And this aisle has mostly, like that's how, when I see it like at Walmart, we have doll aisles, we have cars, like vehicle aisles, there's Lego aisle, that kind of stuff. It's done by more like the type of toy than it is by a gender.
Yeah, and especially in preschool, they mix it up.
They completely mix it.
Yeah, these are.
So technically, they already have a gender neutral aisle.
Yeah, and that would be their out. I'm like, this law is completely pointless if they're not telling you.
Spends a lot of taxpayer dollars for no reason.
Exactly, and
what they have left.
Does California have any money left? All they have to do is just put a little section in the middle of the toy department and be like, here's what's new, and it could be like all different kinds of toys for different genders or whatever, and that's our section right over there.
But this is stupid. LGBTQ advocates call the measure a win at a time the legislation was signed, arguing the pink and blue hues of traditional marketing methods pressure kids to fit gender stereotypes. Okay, I'll talk about something about that in a minute. But they're not telling the toy manufacturers that to change their packaging. They're not telling them they're saying they have to include a gender neutral aisle. They're still going to be divided up in this way, and the packages are still going to be blue and pink or whatever you're arguing. Now, I will give them the one thing about this. Sometimes that is a problem. I don't think so much towards girls as it is towards boys, because I know like when Squeaking was little, he wanted a sewing machine. They had these little sewing machines, and he wanted one. And he didn't want one, though, because they only came in colors that were girl colors. They didn't have like a neutral color like white or something like that. And I know for a fact the Easy Bake Oven ran to that, too. It was all for girls. And they petitioned, and they finally made one that was like a white one so that it would be, for either boy or girl, because there are boys who want this stuff, too. And they just want to try the same things. They see mom doing it or dad.
See Gordon Ramsay. Like, yeah, right? There's some kid that wants to be the next Gordon Ramsay.
Slamming his little cupcakes in there and going, "Where's my lamb sauce?"
He doesn't want a fucking pink. No, he wants a proper chef's Easy Bake Oven.
Right. And the thing is, like, so I'm not disagreeing with them about the always being everything pink and blue, because sometimes I think that toy manufacturers, especially with something could legitimately be really, really have a market either way, you should try to find a neutral color in that regard, because I think that there's a lot of kids that might want it, but they don't want to be associated with color, which personally I think is stupid, but I get it. I've seen it myself personally. But you cannot expect, this law is not going to change the pink and blue boxes. That's the manufacturer. That's not the store.
That is marketing research. And they're really, let's be honest, they're not doing it for the kids. They're doing it for the parents and the grandparents so they can easily identify what this toy is for or who this toy is for.
You know what?
Like, oh, it's a girl toy. It's pink.
I'm sorry. A lot of girls like the pink boxes. They like the girly toys. Just because you personally don't or your kid doesn't mean that the majority of their audience, they feel the same way. Like I remember when they had the Lego Friends come out, a lot of these activist types were really pissed about Lego Friends because they predominantly were like pinks and purples and stuff like that. My daughter thought they were great. Okay, she loved them. Now she liked Lego stuff before because her brother had them. And when I was a kid, we all had the same boxes. Everybody got the same thing. And they were trying to argue, well, those are girls and they shouldn't be marked girls. Girls should be allowed to have whatever they want. Thing is, girls could buy any Lego set they wanted before. And all those Lego sets were still available. If you didn't want the pink frou-frou ones, you didn't have to buy them. There was a plethora of choices that, weren't just geared directly at boys. They're just Legos. And they had a hissy fit about Lego Friends. And it blew up in their faces and they didn't win. But so what if they wanted to make a little girlier line of Legos? They already have a bunch of Legos that are out there that are gender neutral. Yeah. Sorry, you can continue. That was just my rant.
No, it's just it's so
as a
weird.
Mom.
Because I'm like, this is all about virtue signaling because it doesn't really change anything. Because the stores that would be affected by this law are already doing it. If you just have to have one section that's gender neutral. Again, just the preschool section, just the board game section, just the bike section, just the, what I'm saying? Anything that's not dolls and action
section a lot of times is neutral. Like they have little vacuum cleaners and they'll show boys and girls in the box. They'll have like Melissa and Doug items that show both boys and girls and they're very gender neutral on the box. We've bought those many times for my kids. I wonder how many of these advocates actually, have kids or buy shit for them.
Most of them don't. The
one that was trying to really argue me about Legos did not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Why is that always it? Why is it always people that don't have kids trying to argue about what kids should?
My life as I want to point out, they're not in this picture. It's not shown. They have boy versions.
They do
the dolls. They don't have them as much now as they did a couple years ago. But same with American Girl. There are boy American Girl dolls you can get as well. They are deliberately going out of their way to make sure they're inclusive for boy and girl. You can get ball dolls. You can, and put them in boys' clothes if you want to. There's all kinds of things that can be done. So that's not true that people aren't trying to actively, be progressive in that way because they are.
Yeah. So they tried to do this in 2019, 2020, and it failed. It got through in 2021. And, again, this is Newsom signed this into law. So good luck. If he runs for president, I'm sure that's going to get thrown back in his face. Hey, Newsom.
What is this person saying?
This is actually coming from the Sacramento Bee.
Okay.
And so this is California paper. California orders big retail to add gender neutral toy aisles. That's just silly. Coming from the Sacramento Bee. It said California's reputation now I am from Northern California. I lived in Northern California for a good chunk of my childhood. And, Sacramento was, I thought, pretty liberal. But
I'm a hard ass PA girl. I've always been.
California's reputation as a nanny state is mostly undeserved. It wasn't back in the day. Like Northern California wasn't, I don't think, as bad as Southern California, but it definitely, from what I'm seeing now, it's like this is unrecognizable. But a new gender neutral toy line that would take effect on January 1st plays right into that stereotype. So they said this was passed by the governor and signed by the governor in 2021, requires big retailers to include gender neutral section. Okay, we got that. The law does not ban the traditional boys and girls sections. Okay, so what's a reasonable selection of toys?
That is a good question.
Okay, the law is vague. When it comes to requirements for the gender neutral display, it merely says it must include a reasonable selection of toys, regardless of whether the products have traditionally been marketed for boys.
Okay, reasonable selection of toys. Basically, what they're doing is we're looking like we're doing something to shut up the activists, but we're not going to be able to push it in court because we didn't define what a reasonable selection is.
Yeah, so it said it's not much to go on. Yeah, it should include trucks, dolls, stuffed animals, Pokemon cards, or whatever. A Walmart in
Pokemon is definitely gender neutral.
Yeah, it is.
And boys and girls asking for it every year.
So this is how Walmart's dealing with it. They said Walmart is dealing with a requirement by dedicating a smallish nook near the store entrance to toys and filling it with a sad, uninspiring mishmash of dolls, Lego sets, board games, and blasters that look complicated space-age weapons. The bigger, far more appealing toy section is the main part of the store where shoppers can still find aisles of gendered toys and some not gendered. But that is the way it is in every like any store that's going to be affected, it's going to be Walmart, it's going to be Target, it's going to be Costco. Costco and Sam's Club, they just like dump all the toys on the tables in the middle of the freaking
They put
store.
them on their stands, and they just leave them there where they mix them all up.
They're all mixed up. You've got Barbie dolls next to action figures, next to video games, next to
Just because something's gender doesn't mean your kid can't play with it if they're not that gender. That's stupid. If your kid wants to play with dolls, they can play with dolls. If your daughter wants to play with trucks, play with trucks. Hell, when I was a kid, I played with all of it. Mask was one of my brother's toys, and it was my favorite thing to play with. And I used to play Mask with him, and then go play Barbie dolls with my sister.
So why don't they make Barbie's car like turn into a killer robot or something? That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Barbie's really in the STEM, and
Barbie's tired of shit, and she's gonna,
she's building death robots. Is what she's building now. Oh my God, Barbie's Tesla. And then you could have like Barbie's Cybertruck. You could go all like Elon Musk with it. Be like, yeah, she's.
So you sit in a box with no safety precautions. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
It's her box. It's her Tesla. It's her box. No. She's tied in, so she's belted. So no.
Well, it's self-driving, right? And you can just watch the car drive into
Barbie,
a wall.
it's self-driving. You just throw the box.
It's self-driving
Anyway.
Barbie. Just throw it across the room.
Like I said, I can't. People like me and people my age, and I would even argue, even into the '90s, kids that were in the '90s, kids and stuff. Everybody played the same stuff, and everybody liked the same shows, and nobody really gave a shit.
No, yeah.
If boys wanted Care Bears, so what? If boys wanted Catch Catch Kids, so what? If boys wanted to play with She-Ra, cool. I'll bring my Tila. Let's have fun. I mean, nobody. G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe had the girl figure, so I used to play G.I. Joe stuff with the boys in my class all the time. Like, I don't get it.
So they're talking about how they've kind of. I don't think it's been this way for a while, but they said that certain kinds of toys like chemistry sets and baking sets, they've been gendered. But it's been a while, and the toy manufacturers, a lot of them on their own, decided to change that. Like you talked about with the Easy Bake Oven.
Yeah, they've been trying to actively, because it's been brought up not in lawsuits and so much, but just parents are like, well, can we do this because my son wants to use it too, or my daughter, and they're like, it's a valid point. It could be a gender neutral, and plus it's double their base. It's smart. It's just smart business.
Okay, this is where it comes off the rails, though. So this is a very California publication after all. We'll get there. They said it doesn't apply to independent toy stores, right? So you have a smaller, 500 employees. Most toy stores, like I worked at a KB Toys when I was a teenager, and we had like maybe 10 people, maybe.
Unless they're counting the franchise. I don't know.
They said, how are you going to enforce it? Are city code enforcement officers going to patrol toy store aisles? Or is this going to be on a complaint-driven basis?
It's going to be complaint-driven basis, because damn well all the Karens, and I mean gender-neutral Karens, will go and find reasons to complain and file them.
Yeah, so it's not going to be enforced, that. Some toy sellers are already going gender-neutral. As much as I'd like to think it's a watershed legislation, this is something the industry's already doing.
True.
We're just trying to play catch-up. If the industry was already doing it, why do we even need a law? Okay. And I agree with that. Now, here's where I disagree. And why just focus on retailers while ignoring toy manufacturers that are still churning out toys that perpetuate gender stereotypes instead of making them evolve?
Because it's not fair. If your son wants to do things that are very boyish, he's allowed to. If your daughter wants to do things that are very girlish, they're allowed to. And I think that by doing this, we should just do general. Everybody should be, if your kid wants that toy, they're going to want it either way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you shouldn't be telling the majority, because it's the majority of children, they can't have a toy that they identify with because it's the same gender they are, or made for the same gender they are, because it offends like a small percentage that are mad about it. Mostly adults, because kids don't give a shit.
Okay, here's where their California is showing. For instance, how about making more dolls that appeal to boys, not just G.I. Joe? And do Hot Wheels really have to be gendered?
They're not. They have all kinds of girl ones. They have girly pink ones.
They have like
all
peach
the time.
cars, and they have
They have characters on them. There's a Monster High one. Everybody's going nuts on the Monster High boards because they're excited because they made a Monster High Hot Wheels because it's Mattel.
Can't the packaging be redesigned to give off a less masculine vibe?
No.
Can't G.I. Joe be wearing heels? What's wrong with you?
Well, that's possible. Ask IDW.
There should
Look how that went.
Yes, right? Well, yeah, then we're going to talk about this because they're like, well, consumers need to vote with their wallets. I'm like, yeah, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get some pushback. There should be pressure brought to bear on those segments of the industry that are stuck in the 50s when men mowed the lawn and women vacuumed the carpets.
That's right. Women are supposed to be eating the carpets.
Not that there's anything wrong with toy lawnmowers or vacuums, as long as they're not marketed as strictly boy or girl.
But a lot of
toys.
them aren't though. Like I'll see like the little toy vacuum cleaners. I saw one this other day at the store, and it was like cleaning sets, and it had either no children on it, or they'll show boys and girls on the packaging.
The pressure to change should come from consumers, however, who have the power to influence the industry by voting with their pocketbooks. Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, because remember what happened with Hasbro and the potato persons? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of
Hasbro and Mattel have been going down the shitter, and I wonder why.
They have been. You go to discount stores like Ollie's, and you will see a lot of attempts at this sort of thing, and body positivity and diversity. And
a lot of female figures from boy lines are on the shelves.
A lot of female figures from boy lines. You have a lot of like Barbie. You will find Barbies at Ollie's, but it's all going to be
diverse Barbies.
Diverse Barbie.
And I'm sorry, that's just the fact of the matter.
Because they don't have the mass appeal. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't make dolls.
Oh no, not at all.
Specifically for they're more diverse. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is something like that isn't really mass retail. It's just not. It's not catching on. I think maybe you could have something like that, but you do it as like special order. Like here's
they always have done it. I mean, they've had diverse Barbies and stuff for years. It's just that sometimes they sell and sometimes they don't. And I'm just saying, mostly when you see them at, not always, but most of the time when you see them at Ollie's, they're usually a diverse one. And then whether right or wrong, that's just the truth.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm not. I can't control it. I'm just telling you the truth.
I'm just telling you that
I don't know why. Have no reason. I'm
normie
just telling you.
Consumers are not buying that sort of thing.
Or maybe hear me out. They're like they maybe made as many dolls of those, and they put them in different areas where they weren't going to have the audience for it, and then they end up with a lot of extras. Because remember they're supposed to be a minority, so you clearly aren't going to sell as many.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that's just math. But no matter what you say, everybody's gonna be like, you're racist. I'm just pointing out the obvious, which is, I'm sorry, you go to Ollie's and all the dolls that they have there are Barbies, and a lot of other dolls usually tend to be diverse ones.
Yes.
Sorry, but it's the way it is. But the great news is if you want a diverse doll, like my daughter always wanted the diverse dolls. I always wanted diverse dolls too. You can get a good deal at places like Ollie's because they always have a bunch of them.
I always thought it was weird with Barbie. Not that I played with Barbie, but I always thought it was weird with Barbie. It was like all the Barbies are. She had like 2 friends, and like all the Barbies were Barbies.
Not all of them. There was like they had a lot of different Barbies. But they had like Whitney, and they have Kelly, and they have I don't remember all the names now because I haven't bought them for a while. But they used to have all kinds of different characters
Karen
that were
and Becky.
Yeah, there was a Becky, I believe. They have all different kinds of different dolls now, and they're different like characters. Or sometimes the Barbie's friends are different names. Sometimes it's just Barbie and she's different ethnicities. It's there's a wide range.
There wasn't like the world of Barbie where you had like Barbie's hairdresser and you had Barbie's.
No, but they have Barbie as a hairdresser.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was the joke in the Barbie movie. Hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie.
Yeah,
that was the joke.
That's what I always thought.
But there's a Barbie for everyone.
Except for me, salty middle-aged male Barbie, sad YouTuber Barbie.
Well, on Squid King's Christmas list, see what he wanted. He wanted evil CEO Barbie and Seal Clubber Barbie.
Seal Clubber Barbie. Oh my God. Hey Barbie, let's go clubbing. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Whack. No, my God. That's not what I meant, you bitch.
He makes a joke list every year. He literally had evil CEO Barbie and Seal Clubber Barbie on his Christmas list.
We girls can do anything.
Oh, girls can do anything. So if a guy can do it, we can do it too.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.